guys, welcome back. Batsal's here with another skills guide video. Just wanted to kind of go over how to level tailoring, because I know when I first started playing Project Zomboid, I'd be fine leveling some of the other skills like carpentry. That was pretty straightforward for me. I picked up on that pretty quick. Build stuff, disassemble stuff, get skill ups, easy enough for me to understand. Tailoring, though, I never quite understood. Number one, what the point of it was. Number two, was it even worth it? And number three, how to do it. So I figured a quick guide on just how to level up your tailoring skill could help somebody out. Also can answer a couple of those questions like, is it worth doing? And really just to get started here, how do you actually tailor things? What do you need? So one of the first things you're going to need is a needle. And as a side note, a suture needle, the one you use for first aid, will not count. It actually just has to be a needle. And then the other thing you're going to need is a thread or a patch source, so some type of clothing material. There are three types of clothing material that you can use, the worst being rip sheets, the middle tier being denim, and then the best being leather strips. Now, this is vanilla. I don't know if there are mods out there that increase with more materials. This is just straight for vanilla tailoring here. Yeah, so worst rip sheets, middle denim, best leather strips. So you'll need a needle, some source of clothing material, and lastly, and the thing that's going to hold you back from leveling your tailoring ability, your tailoring skill, is going to be thread. This is really the thing that's going to slow you down and basically not make it so that you can get to level 10 tailoring in one day. And we're going to go over, I'm going to make a second part video here on how to actually get thread in a pretty sufficient way. But for now, we're just going to focus on simply tailoring. So once we have our needle, once we have some thread, and then let's just use rip sheets for now, we're good. We can start tailoring. Now this character here, and for anyone who's watching my survival series, don't worry, this is a completely separate playthrough. This is my own personal playthrough here. This is also a hardcore run, but this is not the one that I'm recording, so we're not wasting any days or any time doing this tutorial video here. This is a completely separate run. But yeah, now that we've got our materials to actually do tailoring, next up is how do we skill it up? Early on, if you can find an article of clothing that covers a lot of body parts, that's going to be great. So for example, overalls. You can find overalls pretty early. I would say at least in the first week you should come across some overalls. So we'll grab these, and the first thing you're going to want to do is right click on the overalls, inspect. Now you can see this already has patches on here, but this covers, I believe, 7 parts of the body. The whole thing is you want to find an article of clothing that has as many body parts as possible. It's just going to make it more efficient for you when you're leveling. Later on, like if you can find, let's say, coveralls, you're going to see this covers even more body parts. Another good one to be on the lookout for would be long johns. Long johns here, you can see, covers a bunch. But let's just say you find overalls, because that's going to be more realistic than finding long johns or coveralls. We're going to grab our overalls, right click, hit inspect, and then with our needle and thread, what that's going to allow us to do is add and remove patches. And that's going to be your best way of getting XP. Now, it's kind of grindy, it's very boring, but what I would recommend doing is when it's a foggy day out like this, right? For me, I don't like going out in the fog, especially during hardcore runs. I might make this a skill up day, or I might read books or watch VHS tapes. I might just do some base stuff. I might work on my farm. I might do some mechanics. Anytime, or maybe you just need to kill a couple of days. You get back to your base and you don't want to have your character go to sleep yet. Do some tailoring. And how do we do it? So with our needle and our thread, and with our rip sheets, we're going to right click on one of the individual body parts. So for here, we can just right click on groin, and because I have patches on here already, it's going to give me 2 options: remove this individual patch, or I can remove all patches. Whenever we're leveling tailoring, we want to do the all option. So we'll right click, remove all, and then speed up your game. And if you didn't know, you can speed up your game with the F keys. So F4 will go to 2 speed, F5 will go to 3 speed, and so on. And that's really how we're going to level this. So when you find your overalls, they're going to look like this, no patches. Now we're going to right click and it'll say add padding. Now, because I've got some leather strips on me, it's going to ask me which type of sheet or clothing material do I want to add on. You're going to have an abundance of ripped sheets, so I would recommend just skilling up with ripped sheets. They're kind of an infinite supply. Leather strips and denim strips are a bit more rare to find, and as a side note for leather strips, you will need scissors. If you want to get the better material to patch up and pad your armor, you will need scissors to gather those materials. So typically what I'll do, I'll keep some room in one of my fanny packs, like here. I'll dump my scissors in there. Now I'm good to go. It weighs 0.4 weight units. It's not going to slow me down too much. So now we can get ripped sheets, denim, and leather. But yeah, when we want to start skilling up here, preferably read your tailoring skill book first. That's what these arrows are. That's letting me know I have a buff right now if I choose to skill up my tailoring. Right click, add padding to all using rip sheets is what we're going to press, and then we're going to speed up our game. Boom. Hit F3 to slow it back down. We're going to remove all patches. This is literally how we're going to get our skill ups. Adding and removing patches. The reason why something like coveralls is going to be a bit better is because it's going to allow us to hit more body parts, right? So now we've got like an extra 2, I think, body parts here. We'll add all. It's just going to make you skill up that much faster because you've got more body parts to patch up and then remove. And it's just going to be doing that back and forth. Now, a couple of notes with this. Rip sheets will give you the least amount of XP. Denim will give you a higher amount of XP, and leather will give you the most. So you might say, well, why not just do this all in leather? You can, you know, by all means, if you've got leather strips, plenty of leather strips that you can just throw away like that, that would be the most efficient way to do it. But not every zombie you kill out there is going to have leather jacket, leather trousers. It's just a bit more to find. Primarily, you're just going to run across leather jackets. But yeah, I mean, if you, like, I'll use denim a lot because I typically will have a lot of denim. I focus on leveling my tailoring very early on, so I'll tend to have a lot of denim on there. And I know that I'm not going to pad my own armor with denim. It's always going to be leather strips. So that's one thing you can do. You can increase the quality of clothing material that you're adding the patches with. So, you know, if you want to level up a bit faster, you can do it with denim. And how it actually works is you're going to get XP for adding and removing these patches. And you're going to get XP anytime that you are able to save the thread. So if you get the patch back, you'll get a little bit more XP too. And your ability to actually get the patch back when we remove it here, that's going to be based on your tailoring skill. So when you're tailoring level 0, there's a very small chance you're actually going to get that patch back. So you're going to be going through thread and material pretty quickly early on when you're tailoring. Now, that's the gist of leveling it up. Again, pretty straightforward, but I had no clue how to do this stuff when I first started playing. I had not the slightest idea. And most of the time, I didn't even know how to get thread. I thought you just could only find it in sewing kits, which you can, but there's a much easier way to get thread that we'll go over in the next video. Now, the other part that I was mentioning earlier is it even worth doing all this, right? Is this really worth it? Now, on this character, he's level 8. We probably could actually level him to level 9 right now. I'm not going to do that here for the recording. But with level 8 tailoring, let's take something like these coveralls. They have 0% bite protection, 10% scratch protection. Let's add some leather strips on here, and let's see what we get our protections to. Alright. So just to give you an idea, we're going from 0% bite and 10% scratch to 8% bite, 26% scratch, and we also get 8% bullet protection. If you're playing multiplayer, that might be something, another added reason to do tailoring. But for just single player, you're not going to ever get shot, so you don't really have to worry about bullet protection, but you will get some from leather patches. But that is a significant increase. 8% to bite on all of those body parts listed, 26% scratch to all those body parts listed, and this is one article of clothing. It might not seem a lot, 8%, but it's a big deal when you're stacking your clothing. So when I run hardcore playthroughs, I want to give myself the best chance to survive if I make a mistake. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're playing hardcore, if you get bit once, you're dead. If you get scratched and it becomes infected, you're dead. Your whole run is over at that point. So I want to give myself the best statistical odds to survive. So one of the things I do is I stack a lot of clothing. You can see how many layers this character is wearing right now. He has on a denim shirt, a hoodie, a leather jacket. He's got long johns underneath that, and he even has an apron. Now, long johns and aprons, they literally give you 0 protection, so I wouldn't recommend throwing these on when you're level 0 tailoring, but as you continually level up your tailoring, and each level gives you more and more percentage of protection, aprons and long johns become extremely good. We'll take a look at the long johns here. This is 0 across the board. At level 8 tailoring, though, I'm getting that 8%, 16% on all of those body parts. And with the layers, I'll show you kind of what this guy's protection looks like and why it's so good. This character here has basically 100% scratch protection at level 8 tailoring and a couple of layers. The only areas I have to worry about getting scratched are my hands, my neck, and my shins. There's not much you can do with your hands. The best, and again, vanilla, the best armor piece for hands is leather gloves, and at a base protection, it's 15% bite, 30% scratch. So the tailoring helps that out because there's nothing else you can add to your hands other than patching your leather gloves. Neck is also another tough area. There are some chest armors that might hit the neck, or I believe there's some helmets that might touch the neck, but what you're going to want to look for is a scarf. That'll give you some base protection there. And with level 8 tailoring, this is giving 5% bite, 20% scratch. But hands and necks, there's just not much you can do. Tailoring's not going to save you there. But basically, what, 85% of my body's immune to scratches just because I took the time to level tailoring. Bite protection is about half of that. And again, bite in a hardcore playthrough is a GG. There's nothing, you're bit, you're going to die. You're infected, you're dead. But the tailoring here, 64% on the arms, 77% on the torso, which I think that should be higher. I'm not sure why that's not higher. I might not have a bulletproof vest on. Yeah, I probably don't. I don't, which is fine, but that's normal. We can get that to 100. 64% groin, 72% thigh, 40% in the shins. So we're giving ourselves a statistically better chance to survive if we make a mistake. And I am by no means a pro player in this game. I make mistakes all the time, and tailoring has bailed me out countless times. So take the time when it's foggy out, when you've got nothing to do at base. It's very simple and easy to do. Commit to it, and you're going to see that tailoring will eventually save your life the next time you make a mistake. So I highly recommend you do it. I'm hoping this helps you out. I wish I would have had a video like this when I first started out. That way I kind of knew how to even level tailoring, or if it was even worth it. Let me know if this did help. Let me know if you guys are interested in learning about other skills as well. Guides on how do I level those ones up. Pretty familiar with most skills now, so if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more content from me, consider hitting the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Keep an eye out. We're going to release part 2, which is going to be tailoring part 2 / how to get thread. We're going to break that down and show you how you can sufficiently just farm enough thread to power yourself to tailoring level 10. But that's going to be it for the tailoring video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Take care.